Hello everyone, this is Uncodeable here, and welcome back to Rust. Rust is basically the modern and readable version of C, or C++. So if you want the efficiency, the speed, the portability of those languages, but you want to be actually able to read and write your code, this is for you. It has some features not used in every other programming language, but they have whole systems to check it all for you. So we are in Rappel. There are language extensions for VS Code and IntelliJ, and probably Vim and Emacs. I don't use those IDEs, so I have no idea. So we're gonna get started, and we're just gonna push run in Rappel. So to create a project, you can go in your shell, just write cargo create or new, and then the name of your project, and it will set up exactly what I have right here, with the exception that I have edited my cargo.terminal file to be what's going on today. This edition tag is the version of Rust set up to 2021. So we are obviously making a fake banking program like we did in my Java series. You can find that in the description. So if we push run, like you just saw, it will print out hello world, and it will run pretty fast because I already pushed run, and it's cached because it caches your stuff in the target folder, which you can see under package of files on Rappel. So we're going to quickly get started with user input. So user input in Rust. C++ users, close your eyes because you will not like how this looks. We're going to input the standard IO package. What in the world is going on here? Oh, right, yes, we need 2 colons. I forget why. I think that's probably just a language design. And now, before we start, we have to talk very quickly about variables. So variables are declared with let. You can use const, but I don't recommend using const. There's no point. Let the name, and then the type, string. Oh god, my computer just froze. Okay, string. Actually, let's do an unsigned 32-bit. I'll explain what that means next episode. And then 32, variable. We cannot redeclare it. You cannot do this in Rust. To do that, you have to do mat. But what you can do is you can recreate the same variable twice. That's called shadowing. Basically, it allows you to, for example, redo the entire type of a variable. So you can take in the user input. It will come in as a string, as in most programming languages. But you can shadow the variable to create a new variable with the same name, but it will be an integer, and it will function as an integer. So now that we've covered variables, we need to get the standard input section. I'm just very quickly getting to input. I'll explain everything once it's all in. So then we want to read the line, as I'm sure you can imagine. We also want to throw an error message if something goes wrong. So we will need so this is also a standard hello world. Please enter your name is very standard. Just enter your name, get user input, and put together strings, and printing to line is all standard. So you'll notice our print line function is print line, exclamation point, parentheses. The exclamation point is because it's a macro, which means somewhere in Rust they have declared a macro, and when we compile it, it will replace the code we have here with the actual print line code, which I have no idea what that is because I didn't make Rust. So we will print line, and we will create a mutable variable name, and we can do string new. So this is just creating a new string, and we're reading the line from IO, but it doesn't know where we just created this new mutable variable that we can change whenever we want, and it's a string, and Rust has another string type. It has 2 string types. Very confusing. Once again, I'll explain it later. So we now want to give this function the ability to use this variable, but it must have the permissions to edit. So we do &mut name. So this is ownership in borrowing, which I'll explain in episode 4. It's just, don't worry, there's an open ownership in borrowing checkout built into the compiler, so you will not have to worry about it. So in the expect, we can just do failed to read line. It looks like it should say what it wants, but this was actually the error it will give you if it doesn't read the line. And that's the generic error. So that's user input. Yes, I know it looks horrible. I will show you how to fix that in a moment. So then we can just print line. Actually, it was actually showing us print. So you'll notice it's a macro that just replaces this code, like I already said. So in Rust, you cannot just print out integers like you can. You have to precede the integer with this replacement thing. And if you do forget, the Rust compiler will very nicely remind you to do that. So we can do the name, and then we can do hello. And we can even put stuff after, all stuff. Very cool. So it's gonna quickly compile, and it's compiled, fast compiling. So we can just do Uncodeable, and hello Uncodeable. So clearly, something is bad in this IO code. I don't know what it is. We're not gonna worry about it. Because we are going to install a crate. So don't worry about installing crates too much. So the simplest way to install a crate is for us to find the crate on crates.io. This is the crate we're going to be using. This is the home page. It's called text.io. Here it is. And this is your input code. So what you need to do to import a crate is to go back to your files, and then here in your cargo.toml, you want to specify the crate name. You can actually just copy paste this, but I'll show you how to do it manually. Specify the crate name and set the version. So in this case, following December standard, it's major 0, minor 1, patch 10. That is the standard. You can Google what it means. I don't need to explain it in this video. So now that we have this, we can look at the documentation beautifully put in the README. So we can see to take in a string, it's very simple, and it doesn't even require a mutable variable, which causes all kinds of performance segregations. We just want to avoid mutable variables if you can. So we can just do let name equals read, and it's a macro, which means it will replace its code. You'll notice if I run it now, two things will happen. One, it will install the crate. So while that's happening, let's quickly talk about cargo. Cargo, if you've used JavaScript, it's npm. If you've used Python, it's the PyPy. Don't know how you pronounce it. Yes. So something went wrong, and I don't know what it is. So we're gonna just do cargo. I can type today. Anywho, let's just run it again. So, I promise you this works. Okay, I'll just refresh the page. Okay, so this is what Rebel looks like when it's loading. And now we will run it. Okay, I see. So we'll just do cargo install text.io. So how about this? I'm going to pause and I'll come back when it's all installed. Bye. I'll see you in a moment. Okay, I got it to work. I think what happened is I stopped the Rust compiler while it was running, and it wasn't able to fetch the lock file, and it never closed the file, so it couldn't, when I ran it again, it wouldn't read from the lock file because security something. So that's why you should always close your files. So we're back. I've copied and pasted the code into a new program. So let's run it. The first time you run this, it will take some time because it has to fetch from the cargo crates index and grab everything. So this took like 10 minutes to run for the first time, but should be the only time. So we'll see. We have an error and a warning. Let's quickly explain what those are. First up, and most importantly, the error. So the error is telling us it cannot find the macro read in this scope. That is fancy text for you did not import this. And even better, because this is Rust, it will tell us to import the macro and tell us exactly where. So we're just gonna use, that's the input statement in Rust, and tell us where the handy compiler told us to import from. So text IO read. There we go. Okay. Now we'll notice our error says unused import. And as I'm sure you can guess, that just means you're not using this while you're importing it. So let's unimport it. And then if we run it again. Oh my. So if we go over to the cargo docs, we'll notice that to read with the macro, we need to declare the type that it's going to be reading into. So to do that, we'll just quickly do that. I mean, it's that simple. Okay, so we'll do name and we want a string. Now, as I said earlier, Rust has also str, but we need string, as it says in the docs. This is for some technical reason. I believe it's because strings don't have a known size of compile time, while strs do. So if we run again, it will very slowly build, and we can enter our name. And it will tell us hello Uncodeable, or whatever your name is. So slowly, REPL will realize that we've done nothing wrong, but that might take some time. So now we are going to be done, because that was all we needed to do today. So to recap, we've imported a crate using the cargo.terminal file. We've learned a little bit about Rust and why it's so important. I say important, but it's not important, it's why it's so special. Because it uses ownership and borrowing rather than garbage compiling, garbage collecting, or removing variables from memory manually. I'll link to a few talks about that in the description, and also printed to the standard output and read from the standard input using the default way and the text IO crate. I don't know why it says IO, it should just be I. Oh well. So, if you are in the terminal, by the way, you can always do cargo run. I feel like I should have said that sooner. So, this is Uncodeable, signing out.